So, we recently just passed another anniversary for Sonic Frontiers, and fun fact about me, despite all of the problems presented in that game, I love it, and I am very grateful, more than anything, for all of the potential that that game showed Sonic truly has, right? It was a game that finally took this franchise seriously, and I could not be happier that it exists, right? Even if it does lack a little bit of polish here and there, it does leave a little bit to be desired in terms of, controls and content and things like that. And, it's not a perfect game, but it took Sonic seriously. It gave Sonic something back that it has been missing for years as a franchise, and I just could not be more grateful, right? And fun fact, last year, during the anniversary, I thought it would be cool to start a series in which I would record my past self talking about all of my prior experiences and what I remember with the game, and then having a future version of myself a couple of months later or whatever down the line talk about if those experiences still held up. I still have that video somewhere for Sonic Frontiers. Pretty damn long. If anybody's interested in seeing that, I could definitely finish that video, because I feel like it still definitely applies. But long and short of it is, I definitely felt the essentially rose-tinted lenses wear off a little bit during that initial, what was that, like third or fourth playthrough of Sonic Frontiers, really experiencing it the way that a lot of others did, which was, really just seeing all of the major problems that it had, right? And even seeing that, I still appreciate the game for what it is, right? But that kind of leads me into my primary point, right? We could potentially be on the cusp of the next major mainline Sonic title, right? Maybe not, it could be a situation in which we could have a nice silent year of Sonic, which, given how active it's been for the last couple of years, if it were silent for 1 year, I don't think too many people would be too angry about that. But, we could be on the cusp of something, right? Don't know what. But we have confirmed a while back that they have been in development of Sonic Frontiers 2, or whatever the next major title in the series is going to be, for quite some time now. And that's cool, that's dandy. And in the midst of that, we had a lot of content to absorb. We got Sonic Movie 2 and 3. We got Sonic Rumble recently. We got Sonic Racing Crossworlds as our major game for the time being, right? Our major spin-off, if you even want to call it that. The way they're handling it, it feels so just prime. You know what I'm saying? This is probably one of the strongest spin-offs in the series by far, if not the strongest. You know what I'm saying? Definitely probably the best performing, if anything. But long and short of it is, everything so far in between Frontiers was meant to be something of a holdover for Sonic fans, right? I mean, not the movies. The movies they're doing their own thing. They're making their own buku bucks. But everything else, holdover. And that's cool. That's totally fine and dandy. I'm glad that they went out of their way to branch out into other genres and other ways to give us more Sonic content. And it's Sonic content that cares, right? Sonic Rumble, as much as if we're honest, I don't care about that game at all, I appreciate that for what it is as well, right? It's a nice little bite-sized pocket in and out whenever you want type situation in which you can enjoy the sight of your favorite characters go through familiar levels and fight familiar bosses at any given time, whenever, on your phone, right? You get little references and the costumes and the characters and their chow and whatever else you can earn in that game. I haven't even opened it. I'll be so honest. I've had it download forever. But it's nice, It's definitely hey, a fun little thing for Sonic fans. Here you go. And if you want to invest in this, that's totally fine. If not, cool. It is what it is, It's been around for a good year now before we got it, so whatever. And then you have the major aspect, which is Sonic Racing Crossworlds, which has given us just an impressive amount. More so than I thought it would. More so than Mario Kart World already. Freaky deaky, but here we are. I can't believe I just said that. I'm so sorry. But regardless, Sonic Racing Crossworld is a spin-off that cares, and it gives us so much content in terms of, you know, how many characters we have, how many interactions they have with all the different voice acting and things like that, all the different tracks with all the references placed within them, all of the content we're still getting. We just recently got SpongeBob and Patrick as characters. We just got the update recently that gives us, you know, a little look at what we're going to be utilizing with Tangle and Whisper and Knights and II and stuff like that, you know, all the other Sega combatants that are going to be joining in on the fun and stuff like that. And we still have yet to see Mega Man in game or anything. We still have yet to see the model there, so that's going to be really, really cool. So I'm really happy with what Sonic is doing right now. As a lot of people are putting it, this series is definitely hitting its tipping point. It's definitely rising. It's rising back in full force with full strength because we have people at the helm that give a damn about this franchise. No more with the whole them grasping at every ounce of money that they possibly can and rushing out a game for the sake of rushing out a game on a console. They don't need to do that anymore. We're in a much different era, right? So that is particularly why Forces Frontiers 2 has to get this next game right. Okay, here's the thing. This series is very hit or miss with a lot of people, and lately it's been doing good and getting as many hits as it possibly can, even with newcomers, even with returning players and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? People who have given up on the series is taking a look back at it and be like, okay, all right, I can appreciate that. You know, maybe this, you know, racing game here isn't exactly my speed, but, you know, maybe the next thing, you know, when it's all polished up and ready to go, maybe I'll check it out. You know, we'll see what's going on with that. Okay. Even, you know, you got people like Charlie playing Sonic Frontiers and enjoying it. And that just goes to show, you know, places like Twitter, the internet is such a small place in the grand scheme of things, right? The general public who have played Sonic Frontiers really enjoyed it for what it is, despite all of its problems, right? And I'm one of those people. The next game does not have that luxury. It does not have the luxury to be completely unpolished and not have touched up aspects about it, whether it be in the graphical stylings with the pop-in and the worlds and things like that. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that they really, really need to get correct frame one. And that's not a game, okay? They have a lot to take care of when it comes to how they develop this next game, including how they utilize their characters. Because, you know, a lot of people are very hit or miss with the writing in Sonic Frontiers, okay? So, you know, but for the most part, a lot of people can agree that they, for the most part, did a very good job. They want to see more of this characterization utilized properly. They want to see more proper interactions between these characters on a deeper level that we haven't seen on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? We want to see this with other characters because the writing style that's presented in Frontiers is something that we've been wanting to see with plenty of other characters throughout the years. We want to see this next with Shadow going forward. More so, you know, I mean, we did in Shadow Gens, which is something I completely forgot to mention, by the way. Shadow Gens has completely slipped my mind. Holy crap. Insane. But, you know, regardless, we need to see more of that caliber, more high quality writing, higher stakes, more emotion amidst the fun characterization that we've always had with these characters. We can blend the two. Each of those two things are not mutually exclusive by any means. We can have the fun, goofy, you know, fly with the wind Sonic, but we can also have that down to earth, cares about his friends and wants to do right by everybody that he can type Sonic. Not mutually exclusive. That is the same character, okay? We want to see him interact more with Shadow, right? We only got a brisk moment of that in Shadow Gens, and it was absolute pure peak. We need more just like that. We want to see him interact with characters that we haven't seen in a long time, or characters that have yet to be introduced to the mainline games, you know, like Tangle and Whisper. We want to see them interacting with the characters in a, you know, a more important way. We want to see him interacting and utilizing Silver properly as a character, because Silver just never really got a chance, ever. He was placed in some of the worst games possible with just no chance in hell to be a real character. And that is genuinely unfortunate for him. We need to see more Silver. We need to see more Blaze. Blaze was an important character for a long time now. And, you know, both of these characters, again, all four of the characters that I mentioned here, you know, they have their place in the comics, but not everybody's reading the, not everybody who plays the games are reading the comics. And not everybody who's reading the comics is playing the games. We can blend the two worlds a little bit, you know? We got to remember that this is one big cohesive world in a way. We can definitely, you know, mix and match, play around, and get creative in how we utilize these characters in these games. And I really think that Sonic Frontiers 2, whatever's happening with that, has the opportunity to take these characters much more seriously in the way that we have yet to see. And, you know, if they could do that right, we'll be in a whole different universe, okay? As far as gameplay mechanics go, right? Honestly, I think some of the best advice I had heard over time, watching all of these different reviews and things like that when it comes to Sonic games, is that Sega should never listen to the fans. And they're completely right. You know, there's a lot of fans that will, you know, take matters into their own hands and design the games the way that they want to see the games. And that's totally fine, you know? That's how we get cool passion projects like Sonic, or like Project 06, where, you know, they took the formula presented in Sonic 06 and, you know, reutilized it, reformed it, gave it new life. You know, that's something that we could never see. But there are mechanics that simply just wouldn't work in a modern day Sonic game, possibly. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. There's a lot of people that are iffy and just wishy-washy when it comes to stuff like the boost mechanic, right? As much as I love the boost mechanic, you know, there is a part of me that does believe that it doesn't necessarily need to be in every single game, right? I feel like there have been ways where they could definitely get creative without the boost mechanic and utilizing Sonic speed. You know, momentum is a thing. So I'm not going to say the next game needs to utilize these mechanics or properly implement this or that or whatever. Whatever they do implement, however they plan to make it work, polish it. Take your time with it, test it out with different groups, make sure it's something that you like and it's something that actively works properly with the world that you're going to be building, right? I have to imagine we're in a situation in which we're going to be proceeding with the open zone style, right? We're going to be developing that much more, much bigger, just miles ahead of what we've ever seen probably in Sonic Frontiers 1, right? So whatever you add, however you plan to work it in, put the wrench to the screw and make sure it's polished, make sure it works. Take your time. Play around with it. If you have an idea for something that may work better, test it out, see if the team feels that same way. Right? Does that make sense? Am I talking out of my ass here? Long and short of it is, I need some true, genuine polish from this game. Right? No more of the whole... There are obviously a lot of things in Sonic Frontiers that definitely weren't okay, like the whole static situation when they were talking to each other. You know, I'm glad that, you know, those moments still had stuff like voice acting and stuff like that, as opposed to just, you know, stills with nothing else. But, you know, even then you can still make that work. But regardless, we're in an era of 3D. And if we're going to go 3D, we got to go all the way. If we're going to add voice acting and we're going to add, you know, emotion and things like that to our characters, you got to make it so that, you know, the models are playing into that as well. They're actually animated. They're actually moving along, moving their hands, being just animated, for lack of a better way to put that. Just polish. That's it. And I think you guys did a really, really good job of that in Shadow Generations. You guys have more than proven that, you know, with the proper time and the proper focus and the proper aim, you guys can do that, right? Shadow Gens is what I feel like a glimpse of what Sonic Frontiers 2 is going to be. I feel like that was their little, you know, peek into the lens type situation. There's probably a lot of ideas that they had from that they're probably implementing as much as possible into the next major Sonic time. And I can only hope that's true. I can really only hope that that's the case. So, when it boils down to it, they have to get this right. Because another failure here, this one would be monumental. Because they're just getting back on their feet. I know it's been actually a couple of years, you know. It feels weird to say after just, what is it, like 5 years of just, you know, getting back into form, starting with the Sonic movie, and they've been really ramping up. You know, they've been building towards some big stuff here. And I really hope that they locked in, and that Frontiers 2, whenever they showcase it, doesn't even need to be soon. One of the reasons that I made this video is because a lot of people seem to be speculating that we might get something Sonic related at the Game Awards in this upcoming week. I don't know. I'm not going to really be holding my breath on that or anything like that. But if it happens, it happens. And I hope to God that we see just something unseen with this franchise. Something that we haven't seen in a while. And I'm hoping it's grit. I'm hoping it's style. I'm hoping it's polish. Sonic Racing Crossworlds is pretty generally polished. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, you know, everything that I've mentioned prior wasn't polished. You know, Superstars, okay, well, Superstars lacked a little bit of polish, but it wasn't a bad game. It was just not a great one. You know what I'm saying? Gens was generally polished. It was just too small and lacking in a lot of areas, you know? And that's the thing with this franchise. With a lot of these games lately, especially with the, you know, the 2D ones or the major 3D ones, like Superstars, like Shadow Gens, they're always missing that one little thing, right? There's always that one little tidbit that we wish was there to have helped improve the game in some way, shape, or form. Not that I'm saying that that's not going to happen with Frontiers 2, because there's always going to be that one thing that we wish was in the next Sonic game. You know, we're going to wish this character was here. We're going to wish they implemented these mechanics. We're going to wish this mechanic worked better this way. Or we're going to wish that the boost mechanic had, you know, proper levels or whatever. There's always going to be that one thing that we wish for. But if we could make it so that the wishes are just to have more as opposed to fixing what's already there, we could be on a very good path. And I think we can manage that with Frontiers 2. So that's where I'm at with that. If we do get something soon, I'm gonna be happy and I'll be looking forward to it. But man, they gotta lock in, because I really, really want to see this series get back to where it was in terms of height, because it deserves it. And they've been working really hard to do that. You can tell. To see. But either way, that's it for me. I've said my piece. Pass the mic over to you guys, and I want you guys to tell me everything that you're thinking in the comment section below. Do you agree that this series is reaching better heights than it ever has before? We're seeing, you know, much more polish, much more care, much more love for this series from the team, and, you know, we could be looking forward to something really, really cool with Frontiers 2 or whatever that next game is? Or am I dreaming? You know, the games haven't been that good. It still lacks a lot, and I should just give up on any hope of this series being true, genuine, absolute peak. Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I'm always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed it. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gone. So thanks again. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.